What would you do if you found a door that wasn't there yesterday? A road that never existed on any map? A voice calling your name from the dark when you know you're alone? Would you turn back, pretending you never saw it? Or would curiosity pull you closer, making you step forward just to see what happens next? Some stories remain harmless whispers, never meant to be heard, but others are waiting for someone like you to listen. And once you do, you might find the story isn't finished yet. Join me as we uncover 10 of England's strangest and most chilling folklore tales. Stories that have lingered for centuries, waiting to be told. My name is Nex, and welcome to the Nex Archives. The Black Shuck is one of England's most infamous spectral hounds, a terrifying figure that has haunted the misty roads, churchyards and coastline of East Anglia for centuries. This ghostly black dog is described as an enormous beast, sometimes as large as a horse, with shaggy fur and glowing fiery eyes, often red, though some accounts claim they burn green. The very sight of Black Shuck is said to be an omen of imminent death, and those unfortunate enough to lay eyes upon it rarely live long after the encounter. One of the most chilling and well-documented accounts of Black Shuck occurred on August 4th, 1577, in the quiet English town of Bungay, Suffolk. According to historical records, a violent storm raged over the town, filling the sky with lightning and deafening thunder. As the congregation huddled inside St. Mary's Church, a massive black dog is said to have burst through the doors with a hellish fury. Witnesses claimed that it ripped through the terrified worshippers, leaving 2 dead and another severely wounded, before vanishing as suddenly as it appeared. To this day, scorch marks known as the Devil's Fingerprints can still be seen on the church's wooden door. That very same day, Black Shuck reportedly reappeared in Holy Trinity Church in Blythburgh, just 12 miles away. The beast is said to have materialised inside, causing the tower to collapse as it let out an ear-splitting howl. Again, it claimed lives before vanishing into the storm, leaving behind claw marks scorched into the stone. These marks are still visible, a grim reminder of the terror that struck the town. While some people dismiss Black Shuck as mere folklore or an exaggerated legend, reports of spectral black dogs persist into modern times. Even today, travellers along the lonely road of East Anglia claim to see a massive, shadowy figure pacing beside them, only for it to vanish without a trace when approached. Others report hearing phantom howls in the dead of night, sending chills down their spines. Many speculate that Black Shuck could be linked to Viking mythology, with spectral hounds such as Garma and Fenrir being associated with destruction and the underworld. Others believe it's a guardian spirit rather than a bringer of death, watching over travellers in the dead of night. Regardless of its true nature, the legend of Black Shuck has endured for centuries, and its eerie presence continues to haunt the folklore of East Anglia. Whether a hellhound of doom or a lost spirit, one thing remains certain. Should you ever find yourself walking the dark roads of Suffolk or Norfolk and spot a pair of burning eyes staring back at you, it may already be too late. Deep in the quiet countryside of Sussex, a sinister presence once lurked beneath the surface of a mysterious body of water known as the Knucker Hole. The creature that resided within this seemingly bottomless pool was the Knucker, a terrifying dragon said to have emerged from the depths to terrorise the local villagers, consuming livestock and unfortunate souls who wandered too close. The Knucker of Lyminster was no ordinary dragon. Unlike the grand fire-breathing beasts of legend, this monster was a serpentine, water-dwelling horror, with a long, sinuous body, vast leathery wings, and eyes that gleamed with cold intelligence. It would slither from its watery lair and devour entire flocks of sheep, leaving farmers helpless and terrified. Soon it turned its appetite towards the villagers, snatching victims from the roadsides and farms before dragging them into the abyss of its lair. The people of Lyminster, unable to combat the beast with mere weapons, grew desperate. Many knights attempted to slay the Knucker, but none returned. Hope dwindled, and despair gripped the town, until a most unlikely hero stepped forward. In one version of the tale, a local farm boy, armed with nothing more than his wits, devised an ingenious and somewhat ridiculous plan. Knowing that dragons were greedy and gluttonous creatures, he prepared a massive poison pudding, a dish so large that it could feed an entire village. He placed the pudding near the Knucker hole, and he waited. Sure enough, the beast slithered out, took one sniff of the food, and devoured it in a single gulp. Moments later, the poison took effect, and the once mighty dragon collapsed, dead. Other versions of the legend claim a valiant knight named Jim Puttock took on the beast with his sword, slaying it after an intense battle. Regardless of which tale holds the most truth, the result remains the same. The Knucker of Lyminster was defeated, and its reign of terror ended. To this day, the Knucker hole still exists, shrouded in mystery. Locals claim it's bottomless, an eerie reminder of the monstrous legend that once haunted Sussex. Some even whisper that on a stormy night, ripples disturb the still water, as if something deep below is stirring once more. Hidden deep in the Staffordshire countryside lies a small, eerie body of water known as Black Pool, a place whispered to be cursed, home to an unnatural presence. Unlike most mermaids who dwell in the vast ocean, this one resides far inland, bound to the murky depths of the still, black waters. Unlike her oceanic counterpart, she does not lure sailors to their doom. Instead, she waits for those who dare mock or trespass upon her domain. The origins of the Mermaid of Black Pool are shrouded in mystery, but one legend claims she was once a beautiful woman who rejected the affections of a local man. In his fury, he accused her of witchcraft and had her thrown into the pool, where she drowned. But death did not silence her. Instead, she returned, transformed into a vengeful mermaid, cursed to haunt the waters where she perished. The tales of her wrath are numerous. It is said that those who insult her beauty, speak ill of her, or cast stones into the pool will meet a watery demise. Some vanish without a trace, while others are found floating lifeless in the water, their faces twisted in an expression of sheer terror. Even animals refuse to drink from the pool, sensing the ominous presence that lingers just beneath the surface. One of the most infamous accounts of her vengeful nature tells of a foolish man who, drunk on bravado and ale, stood at the edge of the pool and mocked the legend of the mermaid. Laughing, he threw a rock into the water, scoffing at the idea of an inland siren. But moments later, a disturbance rippled across the surface, and the chilling wail echoed through the air. Before the man could react, he was suddenly dragged into the depths by an unseen hand, never to resurface again. Even in more recent times, strange occurrences have been reported. Some claim to have seen a shadowy feminine figure beneath the water, her hair flowing unnaturally despite the stillness of the pool. Others speak of hearing soft, melodic singing drifting over the water at night, only for it to abruptly stop if anyone dares approach. To this day, Blackmere Pool remains untouched by swimmers and rarely visited by locals after dark. Those who know the stories keep their distance, unwilling to risk drawing the ire of the mysterious entity that waits in the depths. Is she merely an old legend, or does something truly lurk beneath the surface, waiting for the next unfortunate soul to test their luck? In the smog-filled streets of Victorian London, amidst the flickering gaslights and eerie fog, lurked a figure so bizarre and terrifying that he became one of England's most infamous urban legends, Spring-Heeled Jack. Described as a tall, sinister man with glowing red eyes, clawed hands, and a devilish grin, Jack was no ordinary criminal. He possessed an unnatural ability to leap impossible distances, vaulting over rooftops and walls with an inhuman agility, escaping every attempt to capture him. The first recorded sighting of Spring-Heeled Jack occurred in 1837, when a young woman named Mary Stevens was walking home through Clapham Common. From the darkness, a shadowy figure sprang at her, grasping her tightly with icy claws and breathing blue flames into her face. Mary screamed, and the figure fled, leaping over a high wall in a single bound. The next night a similar attack was reported, and soon panic spread through London. More encounters followed, each adding to the legend. Witnesses described Jack's long pointed ears, sharp metallic claws, and a long flowing coat. Some claimed his boots had springs, explaining his supernatural jumping ability. One of the most chilling attacks occurred in 1838, when he targeted Lucy Scales, a young woman in Limehouse. As she walked with her sister, Jack appeared from the shadows and spewed blue-white fire into her face, temporarily blinding and paralysing her before vanishing into the night. Authorities were baffled. The newspapers dubbed him Spring-Heeled Jack, and theories ran wild. Some believed he was an escaped lunatic, while others thought he was a demon, or even an extraterrestrial. Some skeptics suggested it was merely a group of wealthy thrill-seekers playing a cruel prank. But how could ordinary men leap over 10-foot walls and disappear without a trace? Despite multiple sightings, Jack was never caught. Reports of his attacks continued for decades, spreading beyond London to the Midlands and even as far as Liverpool. In some cases he was seen laughing maniacally before bounding away into the night. The final credible sighting was in 1904, when he was allegedly seen leaping over a building in Liverpool before vanishing forever. Even today, the legend of Spring-Heeled Jack remains one of England's greatest unsolved mysteries. Was he a man with mechanical enhancements, a ghostly entity, or something far more sinister? Whatever the truth, one thing is for certain. For nearly a century, the people of England feared the sound of something landing just behind them in the dark. In the fog-laden hills and the winding roads of Yorkshire, a shadowy beast is said to prowl the night, the Barghest. And like ordinary dogs, this spectral creature is a massive black demonic hound with glowing red eyes and an eerie, silent gait. Those unfortunate enough to witness the Barghest are said to be doomed, as its appearance is believed to foretell imminent death. Legends of the Barghest date back centuries, with countless eerie encounters reported by villagers and travellers alike. Unlike its cousin Black Shuck, which is sometimes seen as a guardian spirit, the Barghest is a truly malevolent force. It stalks the lonely roads and graveyards of Yorkshire, appearing without warning and vanishing just as quickly. One particularly terrifying tale speaks of a man returning home late one night, only to find the Barghest pacing beside him in the darkness. No matter how fast he walked, the beast kept pace, its heavy paws making no sound against the cobblestone path. When he finally gathered the courage to turn and confront it, the creature let out a deep, unnatural growl, its glowing eyes piercing into his soul. The man fled in terror, but within days he was found dead in his bed, his face frozen in an expression of pure horror. Another tale tells of the Barghest appearing in York, where it was said to haunt the ancient city gates. Locals whispered that if you saw the beast and managed to live beyond the night, you would soon suffer a horrible fate. Some believed the Barghest could shapeshift, appearing as a headless man, a black cat, or even a spectral figure shrouded in mist. Not all encounters with the Barghest end in tragedy. Some say it merely watches from the shadows, ensuring that its chosen victim knows their time is near. Others claim to have heard phantom howls in the dead of night, only to wake and discover that someone in the village had passed away. Whether a ghostly omen, a supernatural beast, or something far darker, the Barghest remains one of England's most terrifying folklore creatures. Even today, Yorkshire locals warn against walking alone after dark, for if you see a pair of glowing eyes staring at you from the distance, it may already be too late. Lurking beneath the still murky waters of England's ponds, canals and rivers, Jenny Greenteeth waits in silence, a ghoulish green-skinned hag with razor-sharp teeth and claw-like fingers. She is said to drag unsuspecting victims into the depths, and never to be seen again. Jenny's legend has haunted the waterways of Lancashire, Cheshire, and beyond for centuries. Parents warn their children not to play near the water's edge, lest Jenny reach up with her bony fingers and pull them under. Many believe she is the reason some bodies of water seem cursed, places where people mysteriously disappear, their bodies never recovered. One of the most chilling aspects of Jenny Greenteeth's legend is her method of attack. She does not simply seize her victims, she waits. Hidden beneath the surface, she watches, patient as the reeds, her mottled green skin blending with the algae-covered waters. If someone lingers too long near her domain, she strikes without warning, her arms shooting out like snapping branches, her jagged teeth the last thing her victims ever see before being swallowed by the darkness below. The presence of floating green algae or duckweed is often said to be a sign of Jenny's lurking presence. Locals whisper that these plant-covered waters are her camouflage, allowing her to blend into her surroundings as she waits for her next victim. Some believe she feeds on the fear of those who see her, their screams fueling her hunger as she drags them into the abyss. Though mostly feared as a child-snatching monster, some version of the legends claim Jenny Greenteeth preys on the reckless, drunkards, lone wanderers, or those who dare mock her name. If you ever find yourself walking along an overgrown riverbank at dusk, and the air seems still, too still, you may not be alone. A ripple in the water, a whisper on the breeze, and then the long, bony fingers reach for you. Even today, Jenny Greenteeth remains one of England's most persistent and terrifying folklore creatures. Many dismiss her as an old wives' tale, yet locals in certain areas still refuse to swim in certain ponds or canals, convinced that something hungry still waits just below the surface. Whether she is real or just a cautionary story, one thing is for certain: no one who vanishes beneath the green waters ever comes back. In the medieval village of Woolpit, Suffolk, a tale so strange and unsettling unfolded that it has defied explanation for centuries. One day, as farmers worked their fields near the wolf pits that gave the village its name, they stumbled upon an inexplicable sight. 2 young children, a boy and a girl, standing alone, confused and entirely green-skinned. The children spoke in an unknown language. Their clothes were of an unfamiliar material, and they refused all food offered to them until they were given raw beans, which they devoured ravenously. Over time, the children adjusted to life in the village, and as they began to eat normal food, their green skin slowly faded. Sadly, the boy did not survive long, but the girl thrived and eventually learned to speak English, revealing a bizarre and chilling story. She claimed that she and her brother had come from a land called St. Martin's Land, a place of eternal twilight where everything was bathed in a greenish light. According to her, they had been herding cattle when they followed a strange sound and suddenly found themselves in the unfamiliar landscape of Woolpit. They had no idea how they got there, nor could they find their way back. Theories about the origins of the children of Woolpit have ranged from the mystical to the extraterrestrial. Some believe they were feyfolk, accidentally crossing into our world from another realm. Others suggest they were alien beings, their green hue evidence of an otherworldly nature. Some more grounded theories claim they were lost orphans suffering from chlorosis, a condition that can turn the skin green due to malnutrition. But how does that explain their strange language, their clothing, or their account of a world bathed in green light? To this day, the story of the Green Children of Woolpit remains one of England's most mysterious folklore tales. Whether they were lost children, supernatural entities, or something else entirely, one thing is certain: they were not from any world we understand. On the rugged coast of Cornwall in the quieter village of Zennor, an ancient legend lingers in the salty air. The tale of a mermaid so beautiful and beguiling that she lured a young man away, never to return. For generations, the people of Zennor had whispered of an unearthly woman who would appear at St. Zennar's church during services. She was strikingly beautiful, with an unnatural grace and a voice like no other, her singing so hauntingly perfect that it silenced the entire congregation. Despite attending the church for years, she never seemed to age, and no one knew where she had come from. One day, a handsome local man named Matthew Truella, known for his musical talents, became entranced by the mysterious woman. Unable to resist, he followed her as she left the church one evening, trailing her towards the cliffs, and was never seen again. Some claim they saw him walking into the waves, hand in hand with the enchanting stranger, vanishing beneath the sea. After his disappearance, strange events began to occur. Fishermen sailing near Pendor Cove reported hearing eerie, sorrowful singing drifting from the depths. Some even claimed to have seen Matthew himself, transformed, swimming alongside a mermaid in the moonlit waters. The legend was so deeply ingrained into Zennor's history that the church still holds proof of it to this day. Inside St. Zennar's church is an ancient wooden chair carved centuries ago, depicting a long-haired mermaid clutching a mirror and a comb. Many believe it was created in the memory of the beautiful siren who once walked among them. Whether the tale of the Mermaid of Zennor is a tragic love story, a warning about the call of the sea, or something far stranger, one thing is certain: her song still lingers, carried by the wind and waves, calling out to those who dare to listen. Deep in the Dorset countryside, an unassuming old manor hides a gruesome secret. Within its walls rests an ancient human skull, one that refuses to be silenced. This is a legend of the Screaming Skull of Bettiscombe Manor, a relic said to unleash horrifying wails of torment whenever somebody dares to remove or disturb it. The tale begins in the 17th century when Azariah Pinney, a former rebel against the crown, returned to England after being exiled to the West Indies. It is said that he brought back an enslaved African servant who, according to legend, died under mysterious circumstances. Before his death, the man is said to have uttered a chilling warning. He must be buried in his homeland, or his spirit would never rest. Whether by superstition or negligence, his dying wish was ignored. Instead of being laid to rest in his native land, his body was buried in the churchyard of Bettiscombe. Soon after, the manor was plagued by unexplained screams, moaning, and terrible wailing sounds that echoed through the halls at night. The chilling noises grew so unbearable that the body was exhumed, but when the coffin was opened, only the skull remained. Terrified and desperate to rid themselves of the curse, the residents of Bettiscombe Manor brought the skull back inside and placed it within the house. The screaming ceased immediately. From that day forward, whenever someone attempted to remove or bury the skull, the horrifying sounds would return, growing louder and more tormented until it was returned to its rightful place. Even today, the skull remains within the manor, undisturbed. Some people believe it to be merely a relic, a curiosity of local folklore. Others, however, insist that it holds something far darker, a tormented soul trapped between worlds, forever screaming to be heard. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: no one dares move the skull again. Deep in the countryside of Cumbria, nestled within the quiet rolling hills, lies the setting of one of England's most chilling vampire legends, the Croglin Grange vampire. Unlike the glamorous vampires of modern fiction, this creature was something far more terrifying, a gaunt, decaying figure with glowing eyes and an insatiable hunger for human blood. The legend begins in the late 19th century, when a woman named Amelia Cranswell and her brothers rented Croglin Grange, a secluded country house. One summer night, Amelia lay awake in her room, staring at the moonlit landscape outside her window. But as she watched, a dark figure emerged from the tree line. It moved unnaturally, creeping toward the house with deliberate, almost mechanical motions. Frozen in fear, Amelia could only watch the creature approach her window. Suddenly, its bony fingers tapped against the glass, testing it. Then, with unnatural strength, it tore open her window, shards of glass raining down as the creature forced its way inside. Before she could scream, it was upon her, its skeletal hands pinning her down as it sank its teeth into her neck, drinking deeply. Amelia finally found the strength to scream, waking her brothers, who came rushing to her aid. As they entered the room, the creature released its grip and fled through the window, disappearing into the night. Amelia survived but was left weak and feverish, bearing the unmistakable marks of its bite. Determined to hunt the creature, Amelia's brothers armed themselves and lay in wait the following night. Sure enough, the monstrous figure returned, creeping from the shadows once more. The brothers fired their pistols, and the creature shrieked in agony, escaping into the darkness, but not before they saw it retreating toward an ancient churchyard nearby. The next day, the villagers, now convinced of something unholy, gathered to investigate the churchyard. As they unearthed the old, decayed crypt, they found something horrific: a single coffin, inside of which lay a withered corpse with fresh bloody wounds from the gunshots. Without hesitation, the villagers dragged the body out and set it ablaze, ensuring it would never rise again. To this day, the story of the Croglin Grange vampire remains one of England's most terrifying supernatural accounts. Was it truly a vampire? An undead horror preying on the living? Or was it something else? A spectre? A revenant? Or even a case of hysteria gone too far? Whatever the truth, Croglin Grange has never been rented again, and no one dares spend the night there alone. And that concludes our journey into just a handful of England's strangest and most chilling folklore. These are but 10 of the many tales whispered through the ages, passed down from generation to generation, still haunting the landscapes they call home. But this is just the beginning. There are countless more strange and terrifying legends waiting to be uncovered. Do you know of any eerie folklore tales from your own area? Have you heard stories passed down through your family that still send shivers down your spine? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear them. And who knows, your suggestion might even make it into a future video. If you enjoyed these eerie legends, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. There's plenty more where these came from. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your lights on, and maybe don't wander alone at night. You never know what might be watching.